So Bougainville, and I've got to give you some context. It's part of Papua New Guinea, but it's voted in a referendum to split off to become its own new country, and it'll be the world's newest country, hopefully in a couple of years. The history behind it, in the 90s, there was an open cut copper mine run by the Australians, yeah? And it was the biggest open cut copper mine in the Southern Hemisphere. And I've been up there, and it's fucking huge, great big hole in the ground. What happened was the landowners were promised a certain amount of, royalties from the mine, which they weren't getting. A lot of Papua New Guineans from other areas were coming in and squatting around the area, and the environmental damage was huge. And the Bougainvillians, the land is very important to them culturally and religiously, and also to live. So they started what they called the Bougainville Revolutionary Army, the BRA. A couple of guys who were ex-PNG military. There was an explosives expert, Sam Kauna, and I know all these guys because I lived up there a few years ago, long after the war over, and they started the secession war against Papua New Guinea, which they won because they know the jungle, they know their area, and the PNG troops, they didn't. Then Papua New Guinea blockaded Bougainville. It's an island for several years. Bougainville lost about 20,000 people from a population of 190, so that's a good 10% of your population gone.
Holy shit, it's decimated.
Yeah. So they...
all the crooks, dude. You know what I mean?
Jeez, 10% is that's like
Yeah.
a world war or something.
Yeah, so that's women and children too, of course. So,
Holy shit.
So there was a referendum. As part of the peace process, they said you can have a referendum to become independent. That was like 97% said yes, we want to get the hell out of here, which is huge. Now they're just negotiating with the government, because the government has to ratify it. If the government says no, it won't happen, then we're going to look at another, there's another war, I would say.
With the clock ticking before 2027, the year set for granting independence for Bougainville, if US do not respond in timely manner, it is obvious that the Bougainville future leader will take path to Beijing like Solomon Islands, the Bougainville closest neighbour.
So I went up there in 2013, which was about 12 years after the peace process, but there was still pockets of the BRA who hadn't signed on to the peace agreement, so they hadn't de-weaponized. And I actually got held up going through one of their no-go zones.
Oh my God.
And they had M16s and stuff, and like in the middle of the jungle, and the cops in Bougainville aren't allowed to carry weapons because that's part of the peace process. So there's nothing anyone could have done. So I had to negotiate for myself and the Papua New Guineans who were with me to get, to be able to be let go. Said, okay, well, after about 3 hours of negotiation, they said, okay, we'll let you go. You're not going through our no-go zone. You can fuck off back the way you came. I said, that's fine. And it was a bit scary, to be honest. Yeah, but I lived there in 2013, and I got to know the main players, commanders in the BRA and all that sort of stuff. It's great.
Early November 2023, amidst the China's move for power in the Pacific, Bougainville President Ismail Torowama said he is seeking US support to jumpstart Bougainville economy to bankroll independence.